Experience the future of packaging and processing up close and in action. Explore groundbreaking innovations, engage with hands-on solutions, and connect with the experts transforming the industry. See how these advancements can revolutionize your products, production lines, and business. It all starts here. Don't miss out. Register today at packexpolasvegas.com/unpackedpod. You're listening to Unpacked with PMMI, where we share the latest packaging and processing industry insights, research, and innovations to help you advance your business. Welcome to Unpacked with PMMI. I'm your host, Sean Riley. As we put a bow on Pack Expo East, we turn our eyes to Pack Expo International 2022 and PMMI's triumphant return to Chicago's McCormick Place, October 23rd through the 26th. I'm joined today by Pro Food World's Aaron Hand and Packaging World's Matt Reynolds. Together, we discuss trends that have come out of Pack Expo East that the industry should be preparing to see in Chicago. Aaron delves into the workforce issue with a look at packaging and processing software that truly engages with employees, offering feedback that reinforces users and ensures they are aware that they are valued as employees. As our materials guy, Matt Reynolds continues to unveil the most up-to-date sustainable materials, who is making them, how they run on current and possibly future equipment, and where they can be found. Welcome to our final Pack Expo East daily download. While our physical show closes at 3, our virtual PackExpoExpress.com lives on through April 29th. So please visit it often, make connections, learn about the latest packaging and processing solutions at your fingertips, on your phone, online. With that said, I am fortunate to have, again, two of our esteemed PMMI Media Group editors. To my initial right, Matt Reynolds from Packaging World, and Aaron Hand from Pro Food World. Thank you. Aaron, this is your first time on the Daily Download at Pack Expo East, so you've had the most time to be out on the floor. What have you seen that we need to get out to the public?
You know, and I'm just going to apologize for bringing up workforce again, but I think there are a lot of different angles you can come at workforce, and one of the things I was really impressed by, Red Zone, way over in the corner over there, is actually working on they have some software that is geared toward really engaging employees. So they are measuring efficiency, but it's not like, hey, Joe didn't work as fast as Tom did, or
yeah, it's not a babysitter.
Right, not that sort of thing. But I mean, they are tracking that, but then it's like, how can we engage them more? We give them, don't just point out what's going wrong, give them high fives when they're doing something good. The thing is that these days we don't have the labor to just throw at every problem. So they need to figure out how to improve productivity without the labor. One of the things he said that, somebody stopped by and said that, they used to have 5,000 employees, now they have 4,000 employees. And how do you keep producing the same or more with that number of employees? And we think workers aren't getting paid enough to stay in their jobs, but I'm not saying you shouldn't pay them more, but that's actually number 14 on the list of a recent study that Deloitte did.
Interesting.
Looking at why people stay in their jobs. And it has more to do with being heard and getting the recognition and being part of a team and feeling like they're doing something worthwhile.
That's interesting, and I don't want to cut you off, but that ties into something that we spoke about. Like, again, you said we've touched on workforce, but you have to. It's the biggest issue that's facing manufacturing. And it does go to that recognition, having ownership of your job and being engaged. That's all part of it versus just clocking in and getting your $15, $20 an hour, which is interesting that the salary was not the highest thing on the list. Anything else that you saw out there?
And I think it kind of, that workforce issue kind of leads into, we're paying a lot of attention to emerging brands these days. And actually, I spent most of my day sitting here or over at our innovation stage listening to presentations. And Ron Pubak yesterday afternoon gave a good talk about emerging brands and what they need from contract manufacturing and packaging companies to really get the help to start up. And it's not just emerging brands, it's existing brands who maybe don't have the staff they need to produce this new product. They're going to send it off somewhere else. And he was saying a lot of the co-packers are actually, it's hard to do their business model because they think it's a temporary thing, and then they end up staying the entire life of the product. So there were a lot he touched on there. So there's a lot that emerging brands in particular don't understand. They've been making their grandma's spaghetti sauce in their kitchen, and now they're trying to take it out there. And so one of the things he talked about, which I know Matt can touch on this too, is just their lack of understanding of what kinds of materials will work. And a lot of times these small companies come in and say, I want to be environmentally friendly, so could you put my spaghetti sauce in a paper cup, please? And
Right.
So there's a lot of education.
Yeah, the
going on
idea is there, but the application might not be possible yet with today's technology. And it is. Matt Reynolds has turned into the materials guy. So let's hear from the materials guy about what additional materials you've have to speak of.
I had a funny conversation. First of all, just to touch on your workforce, I just had a conversation like 5 minutes ago with Matt Lenz of TriPack, and he just I asked him for some big picture takeaways on the show, and it was just the sharp focus or the sharp relief that automation is being drawn into because of the lack of the workforce, because of the lack of labor. So that's a conversation I've had multiple times. But on the materials side, there was a funny story from David Smith. He was at J&J for a long time, and now I think he's doing mostly solo work, consulting and so on. He's also on our editorial advisory board. Somebody had come to him, an emerging brand, a newer brand, and they were packaging, I forget what the product was, but it was in a tin, like a tin can. They're actually steel cans. But they came to him saying, this isn't very sustainable. How can we be more sustainable? Well, David, in his infinite wisdom, said, well, this is about as sustainable of a packaging system as you could possibly be. Just because it's existed for 50 years doesn't necessarily mean that it's not sustainable. So something to keep in mind. But yes, there are a lot of new materials out there. There's a lot of new. We were seeing quite a bit coming to fruition on monolayer materials. So any recycling stream, requires that for it to be useful for only one particular type of packaging to go through there, type of material, film, polypropylene in one, PE in another. So we're looking at what used to be films that would be laminations of 3 or 4 different types of materials that brought properties like barrier layer or brought robustness or tear resistance and so on. Each layer would have some property that they brought to the party. And now basically getting rid of those layers to go down to one, how are you going to be able to run that same material on the machinery that it already exists? So we saw Zacros was an interesting one. They're doing a refill pouch that they're doing in their P&G Japan outfit with the brand Pantene. So that was pretty nifty. That's entirely PE, a little bit of low density, a little bit of high density. So that can go into whatever recycling streams. Also, Emirates Printing. I know they're in line for a few awards coming up from what's it called? The Flexible Packaging Association. They're doing something with Nestle Middle East, with KitKat and Macintosh's brand Dates, all going to that monolayer material recycling, recyclable material, real actual commercialized projects. Also, Ahmad Tea is another one. And not just plastics either. It's also, Veritiv is doing something with Storopack on starch-based packs, and also bagasse. You're thinking of all things, it's sugarcane-based fiberboard. So a lot of interesting materials that are available. The question is, are you going to be able to run that on your 20-year-old machine?
That's the first thing that pops into my mind from a machinery standpoint is you have a machine already. Is this going to be able to run on it? Or if I am purchasing a machine at a show like this or a future show, will that material be able to be used on it if I choose to go to it in the future? So any ideas on how that's going to...
The go-to word here is collaboration, and
Right.
We'll hear it over and over again, but that's that juncture between the OEM, the machine builder, and the brand. And also, I think it even goes further than that. It goes to the converters, to the people who are actually producing the plastics to begin with, the granulate, and then actually converting that into a film. So there's a lot of stakeholders that need to all have an equal part of the table to make sure that these materials are A, viable for the recycling stream, but B, are able to deliver the product to the end consumer through the last mile, through the entire supply chain intact,
And
which is really what packaging is, right?
Exactly, and it ties back to what Aaron said earlier. He's speaking of emerging brands, but as those emerging brands become established brands, they have to be, you want to have your spaghetti sauce in something sustainable. That's your goal from the beginning. Well, these brands that are already existing might be thinking that now. That's a conversation that they also have to be included with the converters, with these. So the entire, from the beginning to the end, has to know that this is the plan that we're going to go with. Otherwise, you're going to have all these, we need new equipment, we need new materials. So yes, collaboration seems to be the word that we bring up at every one of these events.
Hey, I just have a comment. Just overall, in general, I've heard nothing but really positive notes from the exhibitors today, and one in particular, and the ink is not yet dry, but I believe a PO has been
Is this
signed.
breaking news?
Breaking news.
Or breaking
coming
news.
in now from about 6 aisles that way. That I was in the booth at 0.5, and they said I could talk about this when somebody decided to potentially, again, the ink is not yet dry on that PO, but buy a machine right off the show floor. So there is no better success story.
That
for a
is
show
the
like
scoop
this.
right there, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Reynolds just broke, the materials guy broke a scoop. With that said, thank you so much for attending and viewing this daily download. And please, the show is going to be wrapping up Pack Expo East. A lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about will live online. But then going forward, you will be able to see a ton of these trends from all the exhibitors that we've been speaking to. A lot of them are building up to unveiling a lot of even bigger lines and more machinery at Pack Expo International in Chicago, October 23rd through the 26th. So we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Please rate, review, and subscribe. To do that, go to the iTunes podcast or Spotify app on your phone and search for Unpacked with PMMI.